Hello and welcome to the 2024 Twin Cities Film Fest on the red carpet tonight, presented by Bear Stearns Bank. My name is Callie Bliss and I am your host for this evening, and we have with us one of our filmmakers of a feature film called Out of Time, Allison Gasu. This is your first feature film.
That's correct.
Out of your production company, Genie Productions.
Right.
So this film has themes on the pandemic that we all experienced in 2020. Tell me, how much of it was intentional? Did you start writing it before or after the pandemic?
Yeah, so I actually started writing it in 2018, and it was heavier on the pandemic side, with intention to film in 2020.
Oh, wow.
But once the pandemic happened, it felt too close to home, and I figured nobody wanted to watch that again, so decided to try and figure out how I could still keep the core of the story, the heart of the story, but then maybe from the other end of it. So knowing that we've been through the process, it was a little bit easier to kind of, marry some of the tones that I wasn't sure of before, and develop it that way.
Pretty interesting that you came up with this concept before it actually hit worldwide.
It was very eerie because I had it, again, in my mind, it was the sci-fi. I made everything up, and I actually sent it to some family members and friends who are in the medical field, and a lot of the stuff I wrote in there felt very much, fiction.
Yeah.
But then it was weird as the pandemic was happening, things were just moving so fast.
Yeah.
I'm like, I hope I did not predict this.
I mean, you can't blame yourself. But we have some of the stars with us tonight, so why don't you all introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name is Paul Economon.
I'm Charlotte Marie Bailey, and I play Mona Kress.
And I'm Laurie Rubers, and I played Lynn Neves.
And I'm Brian Few Jr., I'm the cinematographer.
Okay, so in this film, there's a drug that is central to the plot that is called helidoxin.
Yes.
Did you intentionally choose for that name to be similar to the controversial drug that was a part of the pandemic? Was that a before choice and after choice?
That was also a before choice, and when I was picking names for the companies, the drugs, I didn't want to make it anything close to reality, so I did a lot of research to make sure that nothing existed. And then in thinking of how drug names are formed, it's typically like a amalgamation of different like Latin type words.
Yeah.
So it really was a creative endeavor. So nothing to any like actual drugs on the market. It's also a very fictional disease, but again, very eerie in how things worked out.
Yeah. And in this particular film, it only affects young children, right?
Exactly.
And that's a big part of the story. That's a big part of what Mona is dealing with, is that she's trying to quantify her job versus her personal life.
Exactly, and she's also a mother of a young child, so there's more at stake for her. Because again, as a writer and also trying to figure out, the elements of my feature film, I wanted to make sure that there was a proper driving factor for my protagonist to be able to make some of these scenes believable, especially, some of the decisions that she makes, knowing that she's a mother and there's that unconditional and also sometimes illogical love that comes with a mother-child bond. It just kind of made sense into putting those together.
Yeah. So Charlotte Marie, as the protagonist of the film, tell us what it was like to be in the middle of this struggle. Is there any part of your personal life that was brought into this from your own pandemic experience or otherwise?
Not as far as having to deal with the disease or anything, but just being a protective mom, like many of us are, I'm sure. Just being that protective mom and trying to make sure that your child is taken care of. I was willing to do whatever it took to make sure that my child and other children survived, and I feel like that's who I am. Yeah. Yep.
Love it. Well, congratulations on your first feature. Congratulations to the cast. We are looking forward to seeing Out of Time.